Think about this for a second. Have you ever had that one ground, that one team, that one bowler you just can't seem to crack? You play well everywhere else, but in that one place, your game feels heavier and tighter, almost like it's scripted. That's Joe Root in Australia, one of the greatest test players of our generation, second highest run scorer in history, 32 test hundreds around the world, but none in Australia. None. And with the 2025 Ashes about to start, this is probably his last shot to rewrite the story. This isn't just cricket history. This is a psychological case study in real time. Stick with me, because what's happening inside Joe Root's mind is the same battle every cricketer goes through. And if you understand it, you can change the entire trajectory of your own game. Hi, I'm Damien Clark, founder of the Century Club. I help cricketers master the mental side of batting so they can play with confidence, consistency, and belief under pressure. And Joe Root's situation right now is the perfect example of what happens when skill is world class, but identity hasn't caught up. Here's the truth. Joe Root can score 100 in Australia. Everyone knows that. Bowlers even know that. The issue isn't technique, it's timing. Not feet, not hands, I mean mental timing. You see, when he plays in England, the story in his mind matches reality. It's, I dominate in these conditions. His creative subconscious, that deep identity mechanism, agrees with him. So everything flows. But the moment he steps into Australia, a tiny part of his identity whispers, hey Joe, this is where you just don't seem to get it right here. And that is all it takes, because the creative subconscious doesn't care about talent. It cares about consistency with your self-image. If your story says, this is where I miss out, the creative subconscious will steer you towards staying right. Not successful, just right. Every cricketer does this. We defend our stories even when they hold us back. So to understand Joe Root, you need to understand identity friction. Identity friction is when the player you are and the player you're becoming don't quite match yet. And that creates tension. In Joe Root's case, old identity is I'm world class everywhere except Australia. New identity, I'm one of the best of my era anywhere. Full stop. Now that clash creates internal hesitation. The split-second slowdown, the slightly defensive decision, the moment where he starts protecting the start instead of building on it. It's not fear, it's anticipation. And anticipation is the most dangerous emotion in cricket. It disconnects the conscious mind from the subconscious skill base. It makes the hands reactive instead of expressive. You felt this. Every player has. I lived this for years. Here was my own version of Australia. My identity said, I'm a great fielder who can bat a bit. So what happened? I'd get to 18, 25, 30 odd, and then something inside me would go, hey, Damien, you've done enough. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but that was my creative subconscious protecting an outdated identity. And until I changed the story, my performances didn't change either. Once I rewired that, everything shifted. Joe Root is in that moment right now, the tipping point. The place where the story can either harden permanently or break open into something new. Here's the fascinating part. Joe doesn't need a technique change. He needs a narrative shift. In Australia, he plays like a man who's trying to prove something. But the players who score big in Australia, the Smiths, the Pontings, they don't walk out to prove. They walk out to express. Expression is freedom. Proving is tension. If Joe can make one adjustment this series from I prove I can to express what I'm capable of, the 100 arrives. Not because he tries harder, but because he stops trying to protect an old belief. Every cricketer watching this has an Australia, a place you almost break through, but not quite. Maybe it's a bowler. Maybe it's a ground you go to, or maybe it's a level, a standard level that you're playing at. The mistake players make is that they try to fix technique. They try to train harder. They try to force it. But here's the truth. Your technique isn't broken. Your story is. So here's what you can do. Firstly, identify the old story. So, what version of me am I defending? Write a stretch identity, something believable enough for your creative subconscious to accept. It might be like I turn starts into scores, or I love tight situations, or I build a big innings. Anchor it to a physical cue, a tap of the glove, a breath, a word even. This teaches your mind exactly who you are becoming. Now, this is the work Joe Root is doing right now, and it's the same work you can actually start today. Maybe Joe gets his 100 this summer, or maybe he doesn't. Personally, I hope he does. But that's not the real story. The real story is the evolution, the shift from the player he was to the player he's trying to become. And, whatever happens, you'll see the battle play out ball by ball. It's going to be an absolute thrilling test series to watch. Now, if this hit home for you, go watch my baseball mindset video. It shows you why the world's most aggressive batting philosophy actually starts from calm, belief, and freedom. You can actually watch that right here. It's the exact mindset Joe Root needs to adopt right now. So all the best for Joe Root, rooting for you, mate. Until next time, bye for now.